Okay, hi. This is the special meeting of the REDCO Board of Directors, September 14th, calling this meeting to order. And we only have one item to discuss today, which is the amendments to the bylaws. We had discussed this briefly at the last scheduled meeting and agreed to schedule this special meeting so that these could be addressed. So I believe everyone has had opportunity to review these bylaws, pretty thoroughly. In going through the bylaws, DT has gone through these obviously as heading up the committee that reviewed these. She and our CEO also each had an opportunity to go through these bylaw changes with the mayor. And as a result of that work, we do have two small amendments that we would like to propose along with that. One is fairly straightforward. It's a change in Article 13, which is the execution of documents. It currently states that the CEO, or in the CEO's absence, the treasurer of REDCO or such other persons, such as the board of directors or the chair, may from time to time sign checks, notes, and drafts. We're taking the chair of REDCO out of the first sentence and putting it at the end. So those folks who can sign will still sign, but in the end it says for checks over 25,000, 2 signatures would be required, and it has to be from 2 of the following persons: the CEO, treasurer, secretary, or the chair. So that's a very minor correction. It actually just the statement, the chair of REDCO, was in the wrong sentence, and it needed to be at the bottom sentence instead of the top sentence. So that's one slightly additional proposal. The other change, and this is just something that was requested by the mayor. As you know, in each of our meetings we've had our corporation counsel, Tim Curtin, attending the meetings. He's generally been in the role of, I guess I would say, perhaps an observer, although we have asked him questions and he has responded. So what was recommended, or requested I should say, by the mayor was that the City of Rochester's Corporation Council should be an ex officio member of the Board of Directors, and that ex officio position does not have voting privileges. So we would continue to have the benefit of Tim's support, whether it's for answering questions during the meeting, like the questions that came up at the last meeting, or to have a situation where we might need legal support. That does not preclude us from having legal support of our own, should we find that necessary, and it would still allow us the ability to hire any legal counsel should we choose to do so. So I'm going to ask for consideration of those two items. I'll ask for those separately. So the first item was moving the chair of REDCO from the first sentence to the last sentence.
Dana,
So,
can I share a screen and I can show what that looks
oh
like?
yeah, thank you, DT. I have it here on my desk, but I don't have it on my
Maria,
screen.
can you give me sharing privileges as a co-host?
You should be able to share. I have it for all panelists.
Okay, thank you. Okay, can anybody see that?
Yes.
Okay, let me see if I can move this down. Okay, so this is the first
Right.
first change in the article. As you can see, we moved the chair from this sentence down to here. And that's Article 13.
Right.
In order to do the second amendment, I made several changes.
All right. Why don't we take those one at a time, DT?
Okay, that'll be
could.
fine. Let
Thank
me
you.
pull down again.
Okay, so this one, as you can see, it's a movement of that particular title, Chair of REDCO, from obviously the chair is a part of the board of directors, so having it there as the board of directors or the chair of REDCO is redundant, and it actually belonged at the end, where for checks over 25,000, 2 signatures shall be required, and it's 2 people of any of those 4. So, are there any questions about that? I think it's a relatively straightforward modification that just got missed as we were going through this. Are there any questions about that? Tom? You're muted, Tom, so you need to unmute, please.
Help me, maybe I'm just reading this wrong. After the cross out of the chair of REDCO, it says may from time to time designate shall sign. That doesn't. From time to time designate.
Whom should sign? Whom
Designate,
shall
maybe
sign?
there's a comma there. So the CEO, or in the CEO's absence, the treasurer of REDCO, or such other person or persons as the board of directors may from time to time designate, shall sign all checks, notes, drafts, and other commercial paper of REDCO.
Okay, thank you.
So the comma in front of designate probably can be eliminated then.
Yeah, maybe.
So it probably, the comma just ended up in the wrong place. So the board of directors may from time to time designate, shall sign all checks, notes, drafts, so on. And then for checks over 25,000, 2 signatures shall be required, and that includes 2 of those 4. All right, thank you, Tom, for that grammatical fix. Okay, are there any other comments on this item in Article 11 or Article 13? Okay, hearing none, I would accept a motion to modify this item within the bylaws.
The proposed new bylaws.
And the proposed new bylaws, right?
Move that, I motion that I make that motion as stated.
Thank you, Willie. Is there a second?
I'll second, but I thought we were approving these in its entirety now, which with that correction would be part of it all.
Okay, that's fine if we want to do that. I was because these two
I make a motion to approve it in its entirety with all edits as stated.
Yep.
Okay, that will work as well.
Well, should we go over the second? Second?
Yeah. So why don't you show us the second one, DT, before we vote on that motion? So there's a motion, and it's been seconded by. Are you seconding Willie's motion, Keith?
No, not yet until the further discussion on.
Okay.
The other.
All right. So we have a motion to approve the bylaws in their entirety. But we have an item here that you've not seen before, so I described it to you, but DT, do you want to just remind us what?
Yes, so in order to add a non-voting ex officio member, I had to change the first item in there, the number of directors to no more than 11 voting directors, which then allows us to have a non-voting director.
Right.
And then moving down, I just made some edits just for clarification and for consistency. So for number C, I changed it to, since it says the board of directors shall consist of, the way it was phrased earlier didn't fit. So I just changed that to not more than 6 persons nominated by the nomination committee. And then the rest of that sentence remains the same. And then I added the City of Rochester's Corporation Council, who shall be an ex officio member of the board of directors with no voting privileges.
Okay. So just, it's kind of hard to sort this out because of the redlining, but given what you've done with C, not more than 6 persons nominated by the nominating committee.
I can show what it looks like.
So what goes after nominating committee? And so not more than 6 persons nominated by the nominating committee.
Nomination
committee.
committee.
End of that sentence then, and the board of directors will appoint these. Is that a different sentence, or is that all?
No, that was part of the original sentence.
Okay.
So the board of directors will appoint these 6 people, or whoever among the 6 people. And that's who those directors will represent. So the only thing that changed was the first sentence, because before it said the nominations committee will appoint no more than 6 people, 6 persons.
Okay,
So that was just for consistency to fit the sentence. Then we added the last one, D.
okay, and D is the ex officio member, okay. All right,
So,
any questions about that, Keith?
so if we have, ultimately the board has its own representation and,
Yeah.
and maybe, the Rochester's corporate council would be serving what purpose? Because would we assume that the person we hire would have, I thought what Tim did here to clean up and comply with everything is awesome. But would we be looking for someone with an equal skill level to represent REDCO independent of the city?
Yes.
So I guess I'm just lost with and this might be perfect for now until we get somebody on board.
Well, Dana, you want to explain why?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one of the challenges here as we've gone through this process is we've, you know, where we started with the bylaws, provided a, you know, fair amount of power that was still left in the hands of the city. As the bylaws were originally written, the mayor had the ability to essentially hire the CEO. The mayor had the ability to provide the chair of the board. The terms of officers were tied to the terms of the mayor in office. And we've eliminated most of those, in fact, all of those things. The board of directors hires a CEO, which is consistent with normal not-for-profit organization structure. The board of directors elects the chair from among their members, which is also consistent with normal not-for-profit membership. And the terms are no longer tied to any term of the person who is in the office of the mayor. The terms are the terms that we set as board members. So we've removed a number of places where the mayor, whoever that mayor may be, would have any direct control other than they have the opportunity to appoint 3 persons to the board. So we've changed a number of things. In the context of having made those changes, the mayor requested and you know, so we agreed to propose to the board that her corporation counsel be an ex officio member, which provides her with some direct visibility into what REDCO is doing. She specifically, I think, was concerned about some things that happened in other nonprofit entities that are similarly connected to the city, like Rochester Housing Authority and some other authorities where things happened within the authority, and even though the mayor had the ability to appoint members to the board, things still happened that cast the board and the organization in a negative light. So I think part of this is her concern that we've, in revising the bylaws, removed a tremendous amount of direct control that she has, which is perfectly okay because that's what we're trying to accomplish here. But she wanted to still have at least some oversight. And I think, as Tim has mentioned, some of the work that they have done for us, for example, reviewing the bylaws, is work that if we hired an outside firm would be fairly expensive. And in our current circumstances, I think we want to avoid spending money as much as possible. So to the extent that Tim and his staff are able to do tasks for us, there will be closings on loans and things like that, for example, that they would still be able to do for us. But in the case where we might need specific independent legal representation, we still have the opportunity to hire that. It gives us at least the opportunity to, perhaps spend a little bit less on the more routine things, and perhaps if we had to spend more on more complex things or things that needed to be more independent, we have that opportunity.
We can't hear you, Tom.
I'm having a hard time with this. I'm not comfortable with it. I just think that we need to have our independent counsel. However, I understand what you're saying, Dana, and I guess I could swallow hard in for the benefit of financial resources. The issue becomes then a complex one, I think, in that how do we determine, well, first of all, two questions. First of all, do we need to put explicitly into the bylaws that the REDCO board can seek outside counsel?
I think it's already in,
If it's in there,
yeah, let me just search on, I have the bylaws up on a separate window.
Okay, so while DT's looking for that, it sounded like there was a second.
yeah. Then if we have the opportunity to go to outside counsel, does that put the board into a difficult situation when we are having that discussion with him in the room? And what if he says you can't do that, or you shouldn't do it, or something like that? We have lost any kind of power to do it. So that just, it seems to me this kind of messes it up in terms of the board anyway.
Well, I think that, given that we have the opportunity, and we'll confirm that, or if not, then we can certainly revise to include the opportunity to hire outside counsel. Whatever we do with or without outside counsel would not have any control by the ex officio counsel. I mean, he would obviously be there, would hear the discussion, would have an opportunity to give us an opinion, but ultimately does not have any vote. So I don't, it would be essentially having an additional counsel as opposed to, and they could very well disagree. And one could say, well, no, you have to do this, and the other could say, no, you can't do that. And then it becomes our challenge to say, well, we have one counsel that we got for free and one that we paid for, and which one do we feel more confident in? I would not anticipate those kinds of circumstances coming up a lot, but it's certainly not impossible that they could come up.
Can I add some conversation input into this conversation, please,
Sure.
Dana?
Yes, Willie, go ahead.
I'm just wondering if this is similar to, okay, right now the corporate counsel currently works for the mayor and city council. But right now, city council is seeking, and we have sought on occasion, outside external counsel for various things. And actually, we're currently in process of looking to hire our own external counsel for various things that we would like to do outside of our current corporate counsel. So I wonder if this is a similar type approach that is being presented. Could someone, does that make sense what I'm saying to you? Does anybody follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I think what you're saying is essentially pretty much exactly what we're talking about here. You're absolutely right. Under normal circumstances, city council is represented by the corporation council, but in cases where there's any concern about who the council is actually representing, or if there's ever a need for any independent counsel, then city council has the right, and as you said, is currently exercising. And when I was on council, we did that before as well. So you do have that opportunity, and we would have the same opportunity here. So I think it's a very much parallel situation.
Yeah,
I'm yeah, I
Pete,
guess
go ahead.
I'm equally as uncomfortable as Tom, because with the two reasons. I mean, if there's a financial fiscal reason to do this, then that's one thing. I think, but I'm right there with Tom that this just to avoid a Rochester housing issue doesn't feel like we should be creating ex officio members to report back or to provide oversight. If these bylaws and our strategic plan and just general oversight don't provide that, I'm not sure what Tim does. I do like, because I don't have the skill set to know where this fits into, a lot of the charter of the city or what's allowed in New York State for meetings and things. I do think we benefit that, but I think we can pay for that too, without creating this ex officio role. Because it feels like it's not about the dollars. The real reason is to provide oversight. That's what I'm hearing, is to provide the oversight and avoid some lack of internal control that we're not operational yet. So I'm not sure we've demonstrated the ability to either not have any or to have all that we need.
And I've discussed this with the mayor, and to me, the corporate council, the city's corporate council represents the city. It's not really representing REDCO. So I think there's a issue there for me. And also the fact that, and as I told the mayor, having Tim on the board doesn't prevent, if people wanted to do malfeasance or misfeasance, they could do it, and Tim and most of us would never know. So having him there is no guarantee that you wouldn't have an issue. If the CEO and the treasurer, for instance, decided to collude, we would never know anything about it until too late. So I don't think having the corporate council, but the mayor felt she would feel more comfortable because of her situation with the housing authority, having Tim there.
Okay, so let me offer this for consideration. I would be willing to basically to change my my motion to say that we would include everything in its entirety with the exception of that last piece that was just presented to us. And then we can table that for another discussion for the larger group. And maybe that could something that could be amended if accepted of a consensus of the group at some later point. But it sounds like the consensus of the group right now is not to include that. So I would just amend my motion to say that we include everything in its entirety with the addition of the first piece that was presented to us in this meeting. And we would take out the second piece that was presented, table that, and vote on everything as presented. Is that okay can we, because we're just going to keep going around and around, it sounds like to me, with this. And it sounds like the consensus that we really don't want, people aren't comfortable with that second piece.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's
well. So we can eliminate Article 4, Section 3D, which is that item that Willie asked to have tabled. So we could approve the bylaw changes, including everything that's been proposed and excluding Article 4, Section 3D.
I know I had just one more clarifying question on
Sure.
Article 5 around meetings, Article 5, Section 2. And again, this is my blind spot, not knowing what New York Open Meetings Law Section 103C is, but it struck me as I was reading this that the video provided that members are able to attend, listen, and observe at any site at which a director is physically located. I don't know if I didn't expect anybody would be able to come to ESL to sit in on me observing this meeting if we did that. But if that's compliant, or if that's language right out of Open Meetings Law Section 103C.
That's what the attorneys in their amendments
yeah,
put in as part of Open Meetings Law.
I was following Tom's rule too. I was just picked something on page 6 to show I read it all. No.
Good job. Good job.
I will
But
say
Yeah,
that.
no, I saw that as well, and I was concerned that, does that mean that if you're viewing this meeting at your house, that somebody can just show up at the door and say, well, I'm here because it's an
No,
open
I
meeting?
think it's supposed to mean that you can be anywhere and people can view the meeting through Facebook or some other public forum.
That's exactly what it means. Because that's what we're doing with city council right now. It just means that you're somewhere different. You're not all in the same place, but the meeting can be streamed or viewed from somewhere where all parties are being.
But you're right. I mean, literally, it does sound like they could be in your house with you, right?
Well, that's the way, and
That's
again,
the
I
way
was
it
reading
sounds, but
with the
that's,
literal lens, and I
Well-
get there's practice versus literal, and I'm fine with that, but I would not have permission to invite
Right.
visitors
So-
here to ESL.
so you
They'd
do
have a
raise
better
the-
chance of getting to my
Well,
house than they here at
You
ESL.
do raise the
so.
question, though, whether that language is accurate in terms of open meetings law.
Yeah, it might. Yep.
Well, we're kind of already virtually in everybody's space right now, right? I'm sitting in
right.
Keith's office. You guys are sitting in my office right now. You know what I'm
Hey,
saying?
look at
So-
there's Dad. There's Dad on the wall. Look at him.
Yeah, I'm fine. I just made that observation.
I'm with you. What I'll do is I will double check into that. We can pass it now, and then if we need to amend it later, if we
If
find
that's
out that
verbatim, I'm fine
the-
with, again, I'm
Right.
also not going to do the research into New York Open Meetings Law
yeah,
103.
I'll, I'll take care of that. I'll do that.
I will accept.
Okay.
We do have a section here where we can hire our own general counsel. I'm trying to pull it back up because I went back to your, on section 5 in Article 16. REDCO General Counsel, the Board of Directors shall appoint REDCO's General Counsel.
Okay. Which
And
is separate from,
Article 16,
Right.
Section 5.
okay.
REDCO General
Tom has your hand up. Go ahead.
one of the things I was looking forward to is getting these bylaws adopted with the idea then that we would have the ability to go out and seek our own counsel who could then review them again, especially the whole open meeting stuff.
Yeah.
Because we are a nonprofit. So that is something that I would hope that, if we're going to, we're going to adopt them now. I knew that. And one of the things that I was thinking is that this is this whole document is very much a live document, and it's going to have to be changed.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a number of times, at least initially. So with that, I'd be prepared to support what Willie's saying, with our understanding that we may be back at this again at some other time.
Okay. All right. So we have a motion on the floor that Willie made to approve and adopt the bylaws as proposed, but eliminating Article 4, Section 3D. That was not seconded by anyone yet.
I'll second.
So Tom has now seconded that. So Willie moved, Tom seconded. Is there any other discussion about, Tom, go ahead.
I have one more question,
Sure.
and I don't know if this is appropriate. So Dana, you could just say, well, let's talk about this offline or something. So this is something that the mayor proposed. We're tabling at this point. We haven't stopped it. We're tabling. Do you think that this will cause any issue?
Issue with anybody or?
With the mayor?
Oh, well, she seemed pretty adamant. I mean, I did not speak with her directly. DT did. She seemed pretty adamant about having the corporation council be an ex officio member, and I think we moved it from being a full member to being an ex officio voting member to being an ex officio non-voting member. So I think.
Well, no, he wasn't originally on the board. He was the corporation counsel.
Okay. So
For
I
us,
think we've
General Counsel.
moved that, you know, perhaps a ways, and it would, so if we approve the bylaws without that, and we're going to discuss it at a later point, it would not surprise me if the mayor says, well, when you discuss that, I'd like to be there. So she may choose to come to the meeting and explain her rationale more directly, and give us the opportunity to give her some feedback on why,
Okay.
you know, we feel that is not entirely necessary.
Yeah, but I think the point made earlier is that that should be a full board discussion and not a
Yes.
partial board discussion.
Right. And, you know, this is a full board meeting. We just weren't able to
Right,
get
but I
everybody.
mean with all the
So,
members present.
yes, but right, I understand, yes. So a regularly scheduled meeting where we would
So
discuss
maybe
that,
in 2 days we can discuss it,
right? So,
2 or 3 days, whatever that date is.
I think we already have a full agenda for that day with Tom. I think the
yeah,
board
no,
needs to
no,
see
we
Tom's
won't.
presentation, yeah.
Yeah, no, we
Okay.
I
won't,
wouldn't
we
have
won't
this.
schedule it for then.
Okay.
If we vote to approve this today, then we'll set that discussion up for some future meeting
Okay.
and have time.
But let me just say, whatever happens, I'll be moving forward with wrapping up an RFP that goes out for attorney services. So
Okay,
the latest Monday, Tuesday
all right,
of next week. We're
yeah,
so regardless of what happens, we have to move forward with
Yeah.
that. Because we have things that we have to do.
right.
That
So
need,
yeah, so this won't stop us from doing business. I think the main reason we wanted to try to resolve this is just because there was and will, you know, continue to be just some question about why exactly is the Corporation Council sitting in on our meeting other than as a viewer,
Observer.
as part of the open meetings law. So I think that part of this discussion was to try and resolve that question of is he actually a participant in the meeting and has the opportunity to interact with us, or is he in fact an observer of the meeting, and would not be a part of the meeting and able to interact, but would be able to observe. So that's why we were trying to resolve this, so that we you know, because it was just a little unclear to people when he's there. I mean, we knew he wasn't a board member, but it wasn't clear what role he was in, and so when he, you know, we were asking him questions and he was responding, it wasn't clear under what rules he was able to respond. And it was also unclear when you know, we had the discussion about open meetings and so on, whether that was you know, official advice that we were receiving from someone affiliated with the organization, or just you know, a person who was giving us information.
Call the vote.
So given that we will not do this, then, you know, he will more likely than not be in attendance at the meeting on Thursday, unless we tell him that we did not approve this, and therefore he's you know, not able to attend the meeting until we resolve this. But I would imagine that would prompt some kind of a discussion that goes up to the mayor's office.
Well, hold on a second. Anybody can attend the meeting,
No,
correct?
he's talking about being in this panel on Zoom with us so that he could participate. as
It's
opposed
similar to your
Facebook.
council meeting, Willie.
I got you.
They
I
can
got you.
observe, but they can't speak, right?
Okay, got you.
So,
Tina, I would just, you know, I think I'm prepared to have any productive conversation and learn, you know, from a conversation. I wouldn't cloud it with the fiscal part of this, the money, the
Yeah.
dollar saves. That's for us to deal with as a budget item. And I would just like to keep that might be a benefit, but it's not why we would do this. So I would ask that all conversation just focus on the why, versus clouding it up.
that's fair. Okay.
Because we were prepared to hire our own general counsel, so that wasn't the issue before, so it shouldn't be the issue now.
Well, and according to the CEO, we still are preparing. So
Right. Yeah.
it's not like
He's
we
right
don't
on point.
have the fiscal ability to do that. We
Yeah.
do. Okay, so right now we have a motion that has been moved and seconded. It's on the floor to approve the bylaws as proposed with the Changes noted. If there are no, okay, Keith, are you voting
No,
or
no.
waiting or?
I'm voting yes.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Michael?
Michael, you're able to?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. All those microphones in front of you, I figured we should be able to hear you. Okay, any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you very much for your work and taking time out of your lunch to join us for 40 minutes. I appreciate it.
Dana, before you move forward, is it okay for me to just mention something for you guys' knowledge? I am on one of the 21 members on the race commission. I am co-chairing the business development portion. There's 9 committees for that race commission. I just wanted you to know that our commission is getting ready to embark on having some testimonies, conversations with the community and/or service providers or people who provide services around business. And I mentioned and recommended that because we know one of the biggest barriers with businesses, especially if we're looking at things with a racial equity lens and how they have an adverse impact on marginalized population, is being able to obtain capital. And so REDCO is one of those sources that obviously provides capital to businesses. So I offered them to reach out to Bayer Muhammad, Dana Miller, you guys. I just wanted to give you heads up if you hear from folks from the commission that was a recommendation from myself.
Okay, I'll be looking for it. So would love to do that.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, great. Thank you, Willie. Okay, anything else, anyone?
Yeah, I wanted to just say real quickly in terms of Thursday, my anticipation is that I've decided I'm going to send the draft plan out again because it's been, I did it last week. I did plenty of time for people to read it many times over. However, things being the way they are, I'm going to send it out again. Bea had pointed out a tiny little thing in terms of the dates of the plan in one place. So I will fix that before I send it out. And I urge people now to read it before Thursday.
Yep.
And then what we'll do on Thursday is walk through it, not in great detail, but just go through the process that we went through and how we got to where we got it, and just point out some of the highlights, and then open it up for discussion. I will also ask people to send me or give me a call if they have any issues before that, rather than waiting. So we'll see what that is. So I just wanted to alert you.
Okay, thank you, Tom. All right, so we have no other business to come before us. Just as a note of thanks for the work that was done by the Bylaws Committee, and particularly the great effort that you put into this, DT. Thank you very much for your insight and your knowledge and your skill and your writing. So thank you very much for that. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you, DT.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Okay, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay, we adjourn. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you on
Thank
Thursday.
you. See you Thursday.
Thank you.